Hello Animorphs fans, and welcome to another episode of Drinking to Podcasts, because that's what I'm doing today. Today I'm looking at The Millennial Agenda by Josh Gunderson. I'm drinking a beer selection, and the first one is Pedigree from Marston's Brewery. So yeah, I'm going for the ale today. I'm going classy today, right? So the drinking rules are as follows. Remember, we're drinking in fingers, so 1 finger, 2 finger, 3 finger, etc. If you can't drink, or you're not drinking for whatever reason, you're either eating cinnamon buns, or you're doing 5 press-ups for every, 2 fingers I drink. Something like that. Just do some fizz, I don't know. So the fingers are modern political issues, 2 fingers, character traits, 1 finger. We'll address them whenever they come around. TV show criticism, 4 fingers. 90s references, 3 fingers. Movie talk, 2 fingers. Author mention, 1 finger. Something wrong, 2 fingers. Naughty talk, 2 fingers. That's down to my discretion. And every time the podcast name is mentioned is 1 finger. So those are our rules. Let's have a look at what some of the viewers said last time. There wasn't that much. You're letting me down, team. I think the move from TV series to podcast is going to need a bit of restarting, but thank you for those who are watching. So there are a few comments about my fiance, and she probably is going to call again because she knows. She called me before this saying how she was going to call again, so I'm expecting her to cause me some forfeits. Eyeshadow Lady said criticism of TV show Marco is positive but still criticism. Drink. Check definition of criticism. So my rule is criticism of TV series, and I'm using it in the way of criticism being a negative thing. That sort of criticism. So Eyeshadow Lady is basically saying, well, criticism, the definition of criticism means anything, even if it's positive. Well, actually, Eyeshadow bloody lady, I typed in criticism definition, definition 1, the expression of disapproval of someone or something on the basis of perceived faults or mistakes. You're wrong. Drink. Wait, no, you're not even drinking, so what am I going to do to you? Did you say you were doing exercise? I may do drinks but restraining course. I'll do it if my PT okays it. Right. So we need a punishment for you. Okay. Ow! Something wrong with me here there. 10 sit-ups. Right. Go. For getting that wrong and trying to catch me out on something that you got wrong. You can't do that. That's wrong. Hence your punishment. Now, before we actually get into it, some of you have been pressuring me, specifically, quite a few of you after the Meet the Stars book episode that I did last week, and there are a few comments saying that they wanted it to be a drinking game. So you know what? It heckin' well will be. Next Friday, instead of a podcast, we're going to do a chapter of this, and we're going to be drinking to it. So you're getting your wish. Your wish is my command, okay? So next week, rather than a podcast, we'll probably do one. We're going to alternate. So after that will be another podcast, then it'll be another chapter of this. Either way, we'll be drinking till we're merry. So that sounds like a good plan. I've got to come up with some forfeits for the book. Apart from that, I'm considering doing a group drinking game on the Animorphs Discord. So the plan for that is I'll come up with some new forfeits for the TV series, some brand new forfeits, and we're going to get people together in the Animorphs Discord voice chat. And we'll get a share screen, and we'll watch the episode together and drink together. If you're interested in that, come join the Animorphs Discord, links in the description, and tell me that you want to do it. The more people that do it, the more inclined I will be to do so. So if you are interested in that, drinking as a group to the Animorphs TV series, come along down. Right, enough bollocks. I've got the Cyropedia page here just in case. I've also got my British copy of The Suspicion, which is the book we're going to be listening about today. So this is The Millennial Agenda by Josh Gunderson. The episode is Animorphs Edition The Suspicion, because this guy does more than just Animorphs stuff. So let's go. Let's get drinking. Let's go.
5 teenagers are given the ability to transform into any animal they touch.
Okay.
Using this technology, they alone must fight a secret infiltration of Earth by a parasitic race of aliens known as the Yeerks. They can't tell you who they are or where they are from, but we're here to tell you their story. This is the Millennial Agenda, Animorphs Edition.
Yeah. Oh, that was podcast name mention, one finger, drink.
Hello and welcome back to the Millennial Agenda Animorphs Edition, a weekly discussion of K.A. Applegate's sci-fi action series.
That was another podcast name mention, one finger, drink.
Animorphs, I am your host.
That was an author mention, one finger, drink, so you're now drinking two, drink.
Josh Gunderson, and I am joined by my Animorphs Edition co-host, Kevin Morey. This week, we are discussing, much to my chagrin, Book 24.
It's not that bad.
And now Kevin's going to say a bunch of stuff.
So, Josh and Kevin.
So the suspicion kicks off with Rachel and Cassie finding
Josh is the one with the better microphone quality.
Spaceship stuck to the pipe where Cassie brilliantly hid the blue box, also known as the Escafil device. They think nothing of it and toss the toy in a donation pile and then head to the beach. Upon returning, a new toy is in the same spot, but this time it flies away from them, and the Animorphs decide to track down the original spaceship toy. While looking for the ship in Goodwill, it finds them first and opens fire. Turns out the tiny spaceships contain helmicrons, a species that makes up for its tiny size with its massively annoying existence. The Escafil device is a power source for them, and they'll stop at nothing to claim it as their own. The fight brings everyone back to the barn, where Tobias, Marco, and Cassie get shrunk down to the size of helmicrons. Marco and Cassie go with the helmicrons while Tobias stays with Rachel. It turns out the helmicron females are in charge and force the males into subservient labor. Also, their captain is dead for some reason. The helmicrons are aware of the Yerks and hate them, so Cassie and Marco pretend to be working with the Yerks to shift the helmicron's focus to Visor 3 to ruin his day. Even more wacky hijinks follow, and eventually Visor 3, a handful of his Yerks, and all the Animorphs except for Axe are shrunk down. Axe flies everyone to the gardens where the Animorphs acquire an anteater. Somehow morphing to the anteater brings them to normal size, and they use their anteater tongues to capture the helmicrons. The Yerks, helmicrons, and Animorphs all come to an agreement to unshrink everyone and go their separate ways.
I'm trying to find a space to...
He convinced the male helmicrons to stand up for themselves, and the book ends with the helmicrons fighting and leaves the reader trying to process all 5 stages of grief at once.
So that was... I've never... I mean, I've not listened to many podcasts, I'm going through them, but this is an unusual format for me where they just basically dish out the plot. There it is. And we're 2 minutes into the video, we've now been told the whole plot, so I imagine they're just going to go, like, into the details. Josh and Kevin. Now, I've got to say that I hate to criticize, but this is part of what I'm doing here. But it was a very dry read, and it was hard to follow along. It was just there's no dynamicism to the delivery there, and it was a bit like, oh. But I'm just being honest. But let's crack on.
Let me tell y'all a story. A couple weeks ago, I found a book on Amazon, and I was like, this looks worthy of my time, and I bought it, and it showed up.
Was it The Weakness?
Despite the fact that I've got a mountain of other books that I should have read first, I was like, I'm going to read this son of a bitch now. And I did, and I read it in about 2 days.
Is he Canadian? I heard in a boot.
Put it down.
I heard in a boot. Oh, Christ.
Read first, I was like, I'm going to read this son of a bitch now. And I did, and I read it in about 2 days. And I finished.
Should I drink for Canadian accents? I don't know.
I put it down on my coffee table, and I all but screamed out loud, what the actual fuck? And I went to Amazon, and since it was within the return window, I returned the fucking book because that's how mad I was at it.
What book is...
Today,
is it the... Is he talking about The Suspicion?
And read The Suspicion. And all but threw my fucking tablet out the window.
There's nothing wrong with The Suspicion.
I was madder than when I first read Alan Fangor.
Alan Fangor?
So I also, like, so I read this in about an hour today. Because that's about how long it takes me to read me a standard, for me to read, wow, words, a standard Animorphs.
Jesus, you're a fast reader.
And in that hour, I probably had to put it down 2 or 3 times to go onto the internet and double check that we hadn't gotten to the ghost-written books yet, because I could think of no other...
Nah, come on. The Suspicion is not that bad. It's not The Weakness.
It's really funny. This one and then the infamous Starfish cover are the two that everyone hates, and those two aren't ghostwritten, and that is so funny to me.
Nah, I've got to stop you there. Right, having just done my review for The Weakness and still feeling the rage bubbling inside me from that particular episode, the suspicion isn't that disliked. People just find the Helmicrons annoying. I rated it quite... Was it a 7 or 8 I rated it? I thought it was quite entertaining. Not bad. It's certainly not as bad as The Separation, and goddamn not as bad as The Weakness.
I mean, but then it kind of makes sense because the very next book is ghostwritten, so I feel like... I also, like, reading this, I'm like, did like, K.A. Applegate and Michael Grant forget that they had...
All for mention, one finger drink.
Like, they were both in bed one night, and simultaneously, like, their eyes shut open, and they're like, fuck, this shit's due tomorrow. And they just, like, they downed a 12-pack of Red Bull between the two of them and just powered through whatever the fuck this book was.
Oh, come on, it's not bad.
Afterwards, they're like, we can't do this anymore. Fucking ghostwriters from this point forward. Except for, like, 2 books. We're done. That's all I could... those were the thoughts going through.
Come on, tell us why you think it was so bad.
Wrapped up. And then, like, oh my... At least once a page, like, oh, we're so tiny now. Like, yeah, I know. You've mentioned it several times.
They did mention that a lot.
Gotta make sure that he didn't forget.
It's like the two of them, like, had no idea what they were going to write, and then it was like writing an essay in college. We're like, I just gotta fucking fill 5 pages, and I don't give a shit what it actually says.
Fair. I didn't get that impression from the book, but each to their own.
Yeah, those are all of my feelings towards, like, like, they wanted to ruin Fister 3's day. How about my day? My day was ruined. Between the time I finished the book and the time that we're sitting down...
Oh, no, come on. You haven't actually said why the book is bad. You've said that they mentioned the Otani a lot. You haven't actually said why it's bad. I'm defending this book now. I feel like I've got to defend it, because it wasn't that bad. And all you've said so far is, this book is shit. Why? Because they said they were Otani a lot. Okay. What else?
I've just been angry. Like, there's nothing to say. I had a moment where I was like, I identified... with Cassie and Rachel, because it flashed me back to the other day, because they were, like, getting ready with the Goodwill stuff, and they were both like, you know what, it's too nice to be doing this, let's go to the beach. And I'm like, that's what Kevin and I did the other day. We're like, it's too nice to go to a movie, let's go to Disney. And we did that, and it was fun.
Let's go to a Disney. What's that?
I'm talking about that because I really have nothing to say about this book, other than I have a question about early in the book when Rachel and Cassie are talking, and Cassie in her head is like, oh, Rachel's like Little Miss Pretty all the time. And Rachel was like, you know, you could wear better clothes than, like, jeans you found in the boys section at Walmart. You know, Ralph Lauren is for the outdoorsy types. And I am not a fashion person by any stretch of the imagination. But since when is Ralph Lauren for the outdoorsy types?
So first of all...
I wouldn't know.
I don't give a shit.
But I feel like in the 90s, it wasn't necessarily outdoorsy, but I feel like...
90s reference, 3 fingers, drink.
Up there ever myself. But I feel like that was one of those stores that had, like, an LL Bean kind of aesthetic to the actual store.
Messenger video.
We know who that is.
Hi, darling.
Hello.
Are you not recording?
Tell these people what I now have to do.
You now have to drink because I called apparently when he's recording.
Yes. Thanks, my dear.
Recording, so it's told me.
You've done this on purpose. Right, be honest with me. You did this on purpose.
I actually didn't.
Right, I'm going to let you deal with a troublesome cat. I'm going to drink the 2 fingers that I owe now. And continue to entertain the viewers. Don't give me...
Alright, read your messages.
What messages? Oh, and then she's gone. Now, don't send me another message. Oh, she's going to order me pizza. Right, she's going to send me another message. Right, I'm going to drink those 2 fingers for her calling me. Typical bloody woman. Right, so that's the pedigree done. Let's lucky dip it. What's my next drink going to be? Cumberland from Jennings. Golden beer. My fiance's trying to order me pizza, which is strange. Lestrange. What? She's saying Papa John's is closed. It's never closed. Oh dear. Right, let's empty this. Right, so it's actually quite a short episode on the podcast today, which is good for me. It allows me to do these pauses and to not be too worried about time. But so far, I mean, it's been quite entertaining. I will just say that dry run through the plot was really quite dry. It's the voice was very monotonous, just like they were reading off a script, and it was just like, wasn't great. But hold on, just replying to Pebble. Right, she's gonna message again. I know it. Right, let's go.
The clothes.
Sure.
Did that make any sense to you? Have you ever shopped at an LL Bean before?
Coming from the Northeast where everyone like just vomits LL Bean everywhere, I surprisingly have never.
What's that?
I've seen a catalog. Are there LL Bean stores? I've never been to one.
What's LL Bean? Mr.
The
Bean.
only one I've ever been to is the one at Tyson's Corner in Virginia.
Sure.
We're talking about American geography.
It looks like they did have, like, I mean, it doesn't seem to be like their thing, but they had sportswear.
Are we really right. Right, Pamela messaged me, 2 fingers for me, drink. Oh, also, Ota, I punished you last time. Who else gets punished? Who needs punishing? Right, Medi Bollocks. Thanks for sticking around. Love you. But you're drinking 2 fingers with me. Why not? It's nearly Christmas. Relatively. Depends what it's relative to, I suppose. Right, 2 fingers, drink. But yeah, are we really going to spend time in an episode 23 minutes long talking about sportswear in some weird American clothing chain?
But again, more of an aesthetic. But anyways, yeah, no, it is weird from my experience, it is weird for Rachel to be like, yes, Ralph Lauren, that's where you should shop.
I mean, there was a bunch of weird name drops in this. Like, Blockbuster got name dropped. That was a fun throwback, because there's going to reach a point where no one knows what a Blockbuster is.
I remember what a Blockbuster is.
Though oddly enough, now that I think about it, I had a dream about Blockbuster last night. That just occurred to me.
You have boring dreams. My dreams are wacky as fuck. It's like a montage of crazy.
Maybe it knew this was coming and that I was going to be angry.
It was a warning.
Because they they play fast and loose with everything scientific in this book. Like you mentioned it with if we acquire this anteater, we'll morph into an anteater because that is new DNA that has not been shrunk, whereas all this other what the fuck? Huh?
Well, it is science fiction.
This isn't even hand wavy. We're not even hand wavy like how.
Look, if you think that's the most fast and loose thing in Animorphs, you've got another thing coming. Wow. Yeah, I don't hold that against the book, personally.
DNA works. We're just flat out like, fuck it.
It's science fiction.
Science
Come
reasons.
Right. Well, and here's the question that gets asked on Reddit like every other week. So if you're here listening from Reddit, you'll know what I'm talking about. So now that they've been unshrunk at the end of the book, if one of them were to attempt morphing Anteater, would they shrink down to a regular size? Or would they be like a gigantic earth-crushing creature?
You know, who the fuck knows? I
don't even know if they want. I don't know what they're trying to talk about anymore.
No, they don't. They do not.
Yeah. So irrelevant. And then
Yes.
oh, we're 1/16 of an inch for what? Like the whole time, and then they're like, we need to get even smaller, so they morph into flies, and apparently, because they got shrunk to Helmicron size, so that way that means everything they do, in terms of morphing, is relative to that size of a Helmicron.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I do not understand how they morphed into flies, and suddenly they were so tiny that they could see individual cells. I'm not a scientist, as we well know over the course of this podcast, but I feel like if I am normal size and morph into a fly, I am not tiny enough to fucking see cells.
I don't think you understand how small a fly is compared to a human. Fucking minuscule in comparison. I think if you were shrunk to that size, a fly compared to that, you'd be seeing cells. I'm pretty damn sure.
Your logic doesn't make sense. You're saying because somebody who, without being shrunk, shrinks down to a fly and lands on a human and can't see cells, it should be the same. But Helmicrons are significantly smaller.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. I like Kevin.
I feel like we're having the same conversation on two different planes right now, because it's making sense in my brain. I feel like I need a diagram of some sort.
Nah, Josh, you need a break, mate. You need a fucking break.
So I give up. I'm just gonna give up.
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
apparently the Helmicrons can see. Like, apparently morphing energy radiates off of. This is this again. Just
well, that's not a foreign concept.
This is just waffling now.
With the Velic.
We did, but they were it was able to sense when they were morphing. But the Helmicrons are like, we can see that energy around you. They can see somebody who has the morphing ability, not just because they're morphing. They just can sense that they have it, and that feels a bit shenanigan-y.
Shenanigan-y.
I feel like if that was a thing that existed, the Yeerks would have worked very hard to develop the technology to be able to spot that energy.
I mean, the Yeerks just might not know.
We're halfway through the episode, and I've not drunk very much.
It's still pretty new in the grand scheme of things. I feel like I say that every episode. So it's not like everybody's an expert on it. Like, it's pretty new to most of these characters, even the characters who have the abilities. So they might just not be aware. Whereas the Helmicrons, they're a completely different species. They're just built to where it's something that they can see.
Those annoying little fuckers.
Yeah, they're horrendous.
They're not that bad, Jesus.
I do not understand anything that I read. Though for some reason, when they were explaining why they followed dead leaders, I was like, you know what, that kind of tracks.
Yeah.
That was, I think, the one thing in the book that made sense.
Joe Biden.
Yes, if they're dead, they can't fuck up because they're already dead.
Well, just wait till the next time we see them.
I don't think I can mentally handle the Helmicron.
Oh yeah, we see him again, don't we? I haven't got to that book yet.
I'm trying to remember what book that was.
42.
They were a lot to process. And
42? Yeah.
I don't appreciate it at all because they're, as Marco put it, they are just a society of Rachels, which was amusing to me. But
Is that Marco's character trait is jokes, Rachel's is impulsiveness. Somewhere in there it adds up to one finger, drink.
It's such an overdone sci-fi trope where it's just, the blatant sexism, but then it just, the women are in charge and the men are like, it flashed me back to, you probably have never seen this show, so this might be a very quick conversation. It flashed me back to an episode of Sliders, if you remember or have heard of that show at all.
I've heard of Sliders.
Moving on.
Yes, please.
I mean, it's a done it's been done before. I'm pretty sure probably Star Trek has done it, because there's a few Star Trek references, because apparently the Helmicron ship looks a lot like a Romulan ship, which honestly,
I've never watched Star Trek, nor do I intend to.
With it, so who knows? Really sticking with my theme of being mad. I know that, and I think we're pretty sure we've discussed it on a recording at some point. I know that the K.A. Applegate does not pick the titles for the books.
Author mention, one finger, drink.
Apparently, the editor at Scholastic that decided on the name for this book was just as lazy as they were writing it, because the suspicion makes no sense.
Correct, and I mentioned this in my review. I think I said, up to this point, every book, you can sort of understand where the titles come from, but the suspicion? Where was the suspiciousness in this book?
I mean, this isn't the first time that I've sat and looked at a title and then read the book and been like, what fucking logic did we follow to get from point A to point B here? Because I'm not seeing it.
I think I've been neglecting to mention this in my reviews, talking about titles, but for, recent books, The Conspiracy and The Illusion, I don't understand where those titles come from. I really don't. The others I do. It's a majority of books I understand where the title comes from, but this one, The Conspiracy and The Illusion, I'm just like, I don't know.
But this one just takes the goddamn cake. No one's suspicious.
Yep.
Everyone's just angry.
The anger, it should be called.
The book should have just been called The Suspicious, because this whole plot is suspicious.
Wow. Just
Okay.
wow. That is the joke that you made.
Yes, that is the joke that he made, and I don't know how to react to that.
And I mean, the only thing that really stood out for me, other than
In fact, that was so cringe that Whimsy Floof, drink, one finger, go.
all of that rage was Tiny Bird Tobias sitting on Rachel's shoulder. I found that amusing. I mean, we've seen him normal size sitting on her shoulder. Now he's Tiny Tobias on her shoulder. So that's cute for them. And what else? Cassie and Rachel go to the beach. Cassie freaks out about Jake seeing her in a bathing suit, but y'all are in skin tight clothing all the time.
That's a fair point, actually.
Yeah,
That's a really fair point.
Party in Megamorphs 1.
They
Were
did
they
do
not?
that. They did do that.
These guys know their shit. They know their shit. I'll give them that.
But
If we're so far gone.
Granted, that I don't forgive them for hating on this book because it's not bad. It's not
I
bad.
can't remember much of the pool party scene other than the house getting blown up.
yeah, that's basically all it was.
And then I guess it's Cassie book, which I mean, this really could have been anyone's book, I guess, because I mean, other than Cassie suddenly being okay with straight up swallowing a bunch of Helmicrons, there's I mean, granted, they're so obnoxious. I'd be like, yeah, let's wipe them out as quickly as possible. Get a can of Raid.
See, if we were to eliminate obnoxious people, then we'd go around eliminating communists. So I don't advocate for that, no matter how obnoxious they are. But whatever.
I'm struggling to fill this episode now.
In fact, most people on Twitter would be eliminated, as far as I'm concerned. Where I work, right, I'm in charge of marketing. So I actually do spend a fair amount of time on Twitter for work purposes, advertising. And I go on Twitter, and no matter where I go on that site, there are fucking people just being obnoxious as shit. Everywhere. Numpties. Twazuks. Wankers. I see them everywhere. I can't escape them. They're everywhere. Part of my job is seeing them do their wankery things. Eliminate them. I'm happy to eliminate them.
Oh, this is
Yeah, no, I was literally just thinking that too. This book is just my biggest problem with this book is that it literally doesn't. I don't think it does anything for the series overall, other than introduce the Helmicrons, which I can only assume.
I can't. It's been a while since I read that one. Was there character development? I can't remember. I really can't remember. I'd have to go back and see my own review to see what I thought about that.
K.A. Applegate and Michael Grant just thought.
All for mention, one finger, drink.
That's why they wrote about it. But there's just nothing that happens in this book has any effect on anything that happens before or after this. I don't think any of the characters really go through any kind of like character development, even with the Helmicrons coming back.
I'm pretty sure there was a message in there somewhere.
That didn't need to happen either. And that book there'll be a little bit more to talk about, thankfully, in that one. But even still,
yeah, because I mean, especially since we're coming off of the David trilogy, we're coming off of Tobias, finding out that Elfangor is really his father, and like we get a passing mention of David just because Cassie has to explain to us, the reader, about the Escafil device.
Mm-hmm.
But either Tobias has not mentioned to anybody what went down.
I think part of the reason I appreciated this book was because it was following on from some really hard-hitting stuff. 18 through 23 were they were big deals. So I think that's why I quite enjoyed this one, because it was just a bit of a come down. Just, like a rest day after a few workouts. You've got to have those few little rest days, In
the lawyer's office after he found out, or none of the trauma that we should be seeing from any of them from the last few books is appearing. Like the whole David thing should have left a pretty significant mark on.
It did,
them, especially like Rachel.
It did. Now I've got to correct you here, Jake. Ever since that David trilogy, at every point since 22, has been a different character. And I'm not saying he's out of character. Something has switched in him since that David trilogy. And it's been evident ever since that ended, including this book. So, I just agree with you.
Had to listen to this guy screaming in her head as she dropped him on a deserted island. And it's just, there's so much preposterous crap going on that it's like, what is this tomfuckery going on?
Tomfuckery.
This to me. Because if it wasn't like weird, like horribly unrealistic science, it was just weird shenanigans of like Axe and Cassie's dad and like I'm Canadianese. Like that happened. That is a thing that they decided.
Canadianese. We owe a finger for whatever the fuck that was. Drink one finger.
What did you just say?
Which part did you not hear?
The very last.
Canadianese.
Yeah, what the fuck was that all about?
That is don't.
Does Axe say that?
Axe says that out loud to Cassie's father.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm remembering now. I thought I was having
Right, so that counts as a character trait. Axe's cluelessness. One finger. Drink.
I was like, why did it? Is it not Canadian? Okay, no, I'm good. I'm following.
It was just such a stupid moment because Axe had to quickly morph, and so he hid. And as Cassie's dad was coming, like he pops out, and Cassie's dad's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And he's like, and he I forget what country he said, but it was like some asinine country that they couldn't possibly be from. And I mean, apparently Cassie's dad
Forget which one.
Geography, because Axe named like 4 different places that he was supposedly from, and Cassie's dad's like, "Are you though? We'll just settle on Canada." and acts like, yes, I am Canadianese. And after they all leave, Cassie's dad is like, fuck that kid hanging out with my daughter.
Yeah.
The fuck is he on? He's high on sugar, Cassie's father, from the Cinnabons.
Cinnamon bun mention. Unfortunately for you lot, I'm right at the end of my drink, so I don't have to drink that much. But if you've got a full drink, you're downing it. You're downing it. Down it, down it, down it. Fuck yeah, drink. Yes! We were bound to get a cinnamon bun mention at some point. Down your drink. Down your fucking drink.
Heropedia just like has nothing to say about this book. They're just like, yeah, here's the basic facts.
Really? Yeah, fair point. There's not much on it.
Don't read this.
Don't say that.
Skip this one and it would have been perfectly fine. Well, thank y'all for listening to whatever the fuck this episode was.
Don't even edit it. Just post it.
That was my plan. Because if I edit it, it's going to be 2 minutes long. It's going to be your introduction and then be like, yeah, that happened. Well, thanks. Like, that's... Thank you all so much for listening, again, to whatever the fuck this was.
If you got
Yeah, what was this?
You're a truly loyal listener, and we appreciate you.
Yay. Next week, we will be... Hold on. Try this again. Thank you so much for listening. Next week, we'll be discussing Book 25, The Extreme. If you'd like to read along, check out the show notes for a link to download the entire series for free on PDF. The graphic novel of The Invasion is now available wherever you buy books, and the graphic novel of The Visitor is available for pre-order. Links to both of those are in the show notes as well. New episodes of the Millennial Agenda are available every Monday with new Animorphs editions each Friday. You can find the Millennial Agenda all over your favorite social media on Instagram and Facebook as the Millennial Agenda and Millennial AG Pod on Twitter. You can now support the podcast on buymeacoffee.com, or you can head over to the Hot Mess Press Co. on Etsy for official Millennial Agenda merchandise, including some fun Animorphs stuff. Thank you to the person who bought something today. One of these days, I'll remember to actually just like write their name down and say, you're going to shout this person out, but I'm not going to do it today because fuck me. So I also don't think of it until I'm already talking. Yep. Please be sure to rate and review us on your favorite podcasting platform, including Apple Music and Amazon, I think is the other
Jesus
one.
Christ.
Find us there. Give us those little 5-starry stars, and we'll all go about our day and have a good life. It's good for your health to rate and review podcasts, particularly this one. 5 stars. Until next time, y'all, happy reading.
So that, by the way, they mentioned the podcast name 4 times. That's 4 fingers. And I'm drinking Firecatcher just to end this episode off. So that was the Millennial Agenda. Talking about the suspicion. I probably should have chosen a different episode, actually, because I thought, 23 minutes, that'll be good, because, plenty of time for drinking, but also plenty of time for a bit of banter. But there really wasn't much to that. There really wasn't. They didn't really go into detail on anything. They covered the plot. They talked about everything being tiny. They talked about clothes at a store. And, I can't remember what else they talked about. That's basically it. They didn't really say anything about the book, really. They seem like top-notch blokes. So that's that. I didn't drink that much, which I'm actually quite disappointed how little I've drunk. I've only gotten through I say I've only gotten through 2 pints, but I'm about to drink 4 fingers from pint number 3. So that's that. There was no naughty talk. There was a cinnamon bun mention. There was no political issues. Only 1 case of character trait. No TV show criticism. 1 90s reference. Movie talk, no. Few author mentions. They didn't get anything wrong, which is cool. Most of my drink was coming from them saying their own podcast name. So 4 fingers, so half a pint. Drink. Oh, that's an unusual drink. I've never tried Firecatcher. It's a golden beer. Really unusual picture on the front. Like an old lady riding a tricycle, putting out a fire. Or catching a fire, I suppose. I'll finish that drink in the midst of ending this episode. But yeah, that was the Millennial Agenda. Usually if it's on, because there are only so many podcasts on YouTube, usually I'd leave a like and subscribe, but I don't know how to. As I said, rate it 5 stars. I don't know how to on this, at least on this page. I don't know. But if you really liked the Millennial Agenda, I will leave a link in the description. It looks like they've stopped doing podcasts because the last episode was on May 31st. And they were doing episodes every few days before that. So it looks like they've stopped. Much like the last podcast we looked at. Blimey. So it looks like they've stopped, which is a shame. Let's hope that you lot enjoyed them enough to go give them a few pokes just to get them moving. I mean, they seem like good blokes, but I think that they could have dipped a bit further into the actual details of the book rather than just spurt out the plot, say how much they hate it, and then talk about tangential stuff and then end the episode. It just seemed a bit... It certainly didn't go in depth into the book, but, you know, that's... You might really like it. It's just my personal opinion. Don't pay attention to what I'm saying. You make up your own mind. But yeah, they sound like top-notch blokes. If you really like it, links will be in the description. Next week, we're going to be doing chapter 1 of this monstrosity. Tell you what, because I haven't drunk much today, let's look at what some of you said regarding drinking here. So, Wham Bam 65, thank you very much for watching, assuming you're watching this video at this point. They said the disc, 2 fingers, drink, axe drinking and eating, 2 fingers, drink. So he wants me to drink 4 fingers. Yeah, Meditwazik says, sounds like could be a drinking game given the first 2 pages. Midnight Modder decides to defend me and says, come on man, I can hear his liver crying out. Yeah, too fucking right. I'm trying to get fit over here and I'm drinking fucking pint after pint. But it looks like it's just those 4 fingers, which, yeah, basically takes me to the end of this pint. So, Wham Bam 65, thank you so much for watching this channel. Love having you here, and I hope you tune into more episodes. We're going to be doing more podcasts. We're going to alternate it with chapters of this book. So, yeah, the next chapter is Christopher Ralph. So, Tobias is the outsider in the group. We're going to be covering school days, new schools, new challenges, fun with Shakespeare, morphing into Tobias Hawk talk on the home front. Girls, there's no one certain type I like. And looking ahead. So we're gonna have some Tobias fun in the next episode. And I think it's in keeping with the theme of the TV series being a drinking thing that we turn this into a drinking game as well. So yeah, we'll do that and we'll have some fun. If you want to do a drinking game with me, remember what I said at the start of the episode. Come along to the Animorphs Discord and say, I want to do a drinking game. And I'll say, okay, we'll do one on the Animorphs Discord and we'll do a shared screen. I'll probably host it. I'll be there, nattering at you. And we'll make some new rules and we'll drink. We'll drink and be merry. It'll be like doing the whole TV. I'll probably record it as well. So, unless you don't want to. But, yeah, I'll probably record it so we can do the whole TV series drinking game again. but with more people, different drinking rules. We're going to have a fucking blast. So if you want to do that, come along to the Animorphs Discord. Link is in the description. And we'll do it. I've been thinking about live streaming. My big problem is I don't have a webcam. This computer screen that I've got doesn't have an inbuilt webcam. It's a nice screen. It's 28 inches. So it's a nice big screen, but it's got no webcam attached. And I do have one, but it's at work and it's being used for office purposes. So I don't have it here. But, yeah, potentially streaming at some point. For what purpose, I don't know yet. But I just really hope you're enjoying this channel. I really do. It's good to see that I'm getting, you know, consistent views on this channel. You know, getting at least like 50 views per video, which means there's probably at least 40 people watching, which is great. It's fucking great. You out there watching this, watching me getting pissed. And I hope you watched my latest book review, The Weakness, because fuck me, that was just... You want to see the state of the book? So this is my latest review, and you see all the I'm not sure if you can see in the light, but I've had to sellotape it all back together because I was not kind to this book. Look at the insides. Oh, what a shit book. But yeah, that was... go watch that review if you haven't. I didn't have fun. I really did not have fun. What a shit book. Made the TV series look fucking competent. I mean... Right. More drinking if you haven't already finished your fingers. It's not an easy one to drink. No, it's not bad. If I catch a golden beer, I'm not a fan of golden ale. Right, I'm gonna finish it in due time. I never let good beer go to waste. But yeah, next week it's not gonna be a podcast. It's going to be a chapter from this, and then the week after will be another podcast. If you have suggestions for which specific podcast you want me to look at, please tell me. And yeah, I shall see you. You'll see this on Wednesday, so the next video should be Saturday, unless there's a news episode come out. So I'll see you then. Thank you very much for watching. Ta-ra.